Every once in a while for Fan Fridays, we get one of these battles, which can really only be described as oops. So it looks like maybe should have been or could have been or would have been a double battle at some point. So it's a 4v6, but it is a single battle. So it is a pretty bad disadvantage. You have less options out, but if something sweeps, well then you still win anyways. So let's go and see how the Pelipper Kangaskhan matchup is. I mean, Pelipper gets that drizzle going, and I will give points to that Kangaskhan name because yeah, it's born apparent. It's always a Kangaskhan. So that's a really interesting life to think about right there. What happens to the baby? Like, we see the Mega Evolution, but we don't see anything else. And that is going to be a switch into the Greninja. I mean, I don't know. It depends on what Kangaskhan goes for. If it's just straight up protect, that's a good switch in for the Greninja because then it outspeeds. And then the Rain is going to boost the damage for the Greninja. So putting more potential on the Greninja to do something than what the Pelipper has. And man, really feeling that Kangaskhan nerf now. That second hit of Fake Out, just not doing anything. Oh, Water Shuriken. That's not going to be a lot right there. Even with those hits coming through. Like, I was about to say, how many times will it hit? 3 hits? That's okay. But there's the Dizzy Punch from the Kangaskhan, and that's just going to go and take out Greninja. So no snowball opportunity. I don't know what the plan is there, but now Pelipper comes on back into the battle. Hurricane? Does it Scarf? What's it going to do? I think Scarf Pelipper is like has potential to be craziness in the meta. That's gonna be another Dizzy Punch as second hit falling flat though, but Pelipper has very high chance of being confused after the double Dizzy Punch, and then we're going to see the Confusion hits itself in Confusion. Unlucky for days. What do we have? Crunch. So throwing out the crunch damage, I wouldn't be surprised if Kangaskhan survives, or if Pelipper survives that. Yeah, because you need the stab. You need to do the biggest damage possible. Like the Dizzy Punch is more damage than Crunch. So the Scald onto Kangaskhan, not a lot. Kangaskhan just throws out that Dizzy Punch again. And yeah, just getting through this team right now. So Kangaskhan still showing enough power, interestingly enough. It's not one-shotting everything. Remember, it's still a tanky Pokemon. Can go and put down the work. So now we have Kommo-o, known as /OO, into the Dragon Dance. So let's go and try to get something done right now, gaining that attack, gaining that speed, going for the just snowball right here. So there's a Dizzy Punch onto the /OO. Big hits, Confusion, no, avoids the Confusion. All right, so that means, yeah, you keep going for the Dragon Dance. The risk though, I mean, when you're in a 4v6, you need to do the craziness that's going to win you the battle. I guess, like, you know, Battle Bond Greninja, if you can cheese the Kangaskhan somehow and stuff, then you try to win. So yeah, still alive. We got +2 on that into the Dragon Claw for the Kommo-o, and that will take down the Kangaskhan. So let's see what else we can get out of this battle right now. The rain is going to stop. I don't think it really mattered for the Kommo-o as we go into the Root Hoot right here. So, Robin Hood, Robin Root. It's all over the place for the Decidueye. +2. Oh, is that? I was about to say. Wow. Okay. Wait, all kinds of weirdness just happened right there. So that's the Dragon Claw, barely not enough, and there was no Focus Sash, but then the Spirit Shackle missed for some reason, and now we have Golisopod. That's going to be interesting because the first impression is going to be resisted, or it's going to miss again. What? Is that? Oh my goodness, and taking the Dragon Dance in the face of that first impression. Like, even if it lands, it's not going to be enough to threaten the Kommo-o. First impression doesn't work again, even if it misses like that. And then, boom, the +3 Dragon Claw. That's going to be enough to drop. Oh! Ho ho! Dang, okay. So that's going to be the health restoration. Is that enough to KO in the end? Is that going to be enough to do it? That will be it. Okay, so yeah, even with like a liquidation or some kind of other bug move, there's too much resist with the Kommo-o. It's just a bad matchup for the Golisopod. Now we have Toucan Sam setting up for that Beak Blast. Ooh, that could get bad. Yeah, that's going to be the Dragon Claw. That's going to be contact made, but we will go down, or like the Toucan will go down for it. All right, so there's a burn. taking it right there. Just a little bit of damage, but losing a lot of that we just built up off of those Dragon Claws. Ooh. That's a fighting move, though. Like, what are we going to see? The Sky Uppercut from the Kommo-o. That's versus Steel. Super effective hit. The burn doesn't matter. Tangling Hair, though, will drop the speed. That speed drop doesn't matter is how I'm feeling about this one, because we already had +3. +2 is still fine. Alright, looks like Kommo-o, it found the way to make it happen, and that's going to be another Sky Uppercut. I mean, yeah, when you take into consideration Steel and Rock-type Pokemon, you just stab and die. Just like that. Could have maybe gone for like an Accelerock or a Sucker Punch or something. But there we go, bringing the battle back and winning the 4v6. So really, that was pretty nutty right there. The Bright Powder back to back. Like, Bright Powder, I love that item. I love Bright Powder as I'm like, that's the only, or what is the other one? Like Lax Incense and Bright Powder, I think they effectively do the same thing. But yeah, that was pretty good stuff right there. I feel I wonder how that first impression would have gone. Let's go and run a quick damage calculation for this one. So yeah, I don't think the first impression would have done it, because we were at like 50 hit points, and we knew that was a Citrus Berry Golisopod. So the first impression would do around 40 something. It would have made the burn knock us out at some point, but then we still had one more Pokemon in the back. The Golisopod would clean up against the Alolan Dugtrio, and I think it should be able to survive something from the Lycanroc as well, because Lycanroc isn't super damaging or whatnot. So that's actually a really interesting way that it broke down. But there we go, guys. The Kommo-o barely would have survived the first impression. That other one, okay, fair enough. The guy didn't throw it out. But yeah, the Liquidation, first impression, none of these things had enough to really work. Like the Golisopod just in a really bad matchup against Kommo-o. And then we gotta talk about Bright Powder, because Bright Powder is good for if you don't have any other option, you know? What else are you going to run on the Kommo-o, really? Like, Lumberry is kind of it. Also, this seemed to be more of like a physical Kommo-o than like a mixed special, because mixed Kommo-o does some really interesting stuff, but when you're running the Dragon Dance, that's when you have to transition it over to the physical. I mean, still good amount of attack, gaining into that speed. So it made those stats count, but Bright Powder. So yeah, what are you going to do? Like, Life Orb plus Dragon Dance feels kind of awkward. It's just that if you get that free turn, then you can go and change the battle because of it. So yeah, you get a free turn off of Bright Powder. It's only a 10% chance, but Kommo-o's tanky. Like, we have 105 defense, 125 or 125 defense, 105 on the special defense. I can't wait to see where we take it with the Kommo-o guide. Also, when I start doing my competitive builds and stuff, I do want to talk about Bright Powder, because you just tech it in there as a whatever option. That if, you know, it would be nice if you had a miss every once in a while, go run it. If you don't really care about any other item, yeah, then the Bright Powder works, and we just saw it right there. The back-to-back Bright Powder. Now, that was a little much, but it still ended up working out in the end. Also, let's go and see what the Decidueye had right there, because that Decidueye, that was probably like one of the most awkward damage rolls. So I'm going to give it benefit of the doubt, Hasty Nature, you know, something speed boosting, but not really worrying about anything else. So we were at +2 right there, because we went +3 against the other thing. Oh, wow. Okay, so it depends on the, yeah, max hit points Decidueye into the Dragon Claw. Ooh, maybe that was actually a high roll or something like that. Okay, so it looks like Decidueye with the 78 into 75 will have enough to survive the +2 from a Kommo-o. Even if it was adamant, though, yeah, it still has a high chance, or higher chance of survival, so 60% chance survive rate on the Kommo-o. Interesting stuff right here, and also does build up a lot of opportunity for what Kommo-o can do. We saw it get a nice little bit of reliable setup right there, so, but it did outspeed the Kangaskhan, right? So I'm guessing then that means like it could have been 252, 252. I don't know what the Kangaskhan was invested into or something like that. Maybe hit points attack for silliness. But also, yeah, maybe a 252 hit points, 252 attack. Kommo-o just trying to go for the most out of those Dragon Dance. Because once you +2 Dragon Dance, it doesn't matter if you have 0 EVs invested in the speed. So there's some stuff behind it. The Spirit Shackle would have done how much damage? It would have had enough to potentially KO. Yeah, so interesting matchups right here with the Decidueye, with the Kommo-o, and the rest of the battles. Yeah, that Bright Powder really sealed it right there, and then the first impression didn't really matter. So some fun battling, winning the 4v6. Like, that's what I mean. You have to go for those big plays. You have to go +2, +3, plus a lot on your Pokemon to be able to come back from something like that. We've had this a couple times in Fan Fries. I didn't show it recently because sometimes it's too forced, like if people are like intentionally trying to 3v6 with something cheesy, kind of feel it. But this one was one of those whoops into mega whoops, like, oh man, giving up Pelipper, giving up the Greninja, and then Kommo-o 6-0. Like, I just realized that was the rawest 6-0, and I mentioned at the beginning of that, like, you need to do something big, you need to start it right there, and then things will happen. So if you guys enjoyed the video, I wish there was another battle, but I mean, what else you gotta say? That was a nice little showing for Fan Fries. So you guys enjoy the video. Hope y'all get ready for some more Fan Fridays coming up next.